All right, guys. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Results Loading Podcast hosted by Prosperous AI. I'm your host, Michael Atkin, and today we are thrilled to have Mohamed Sameh, Managing Director at SESCO Cement Corporation. With over 20 years of experience spanning global markets and industries, Mohamed has led transformative projects and driven growth in cement distribution, as well as international business. We will dive into his leadership journey, the evolving current cement industry, and what it takes to succeed in global markets. Mohamed is no stranger to that. I will let him tell you all about this himself. But with all that being said, Mohamed, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Pleasure to be there. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, to kick us off here, Mohamed, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us your journey from founding PES in Egypt to becoming managing director at SESCO Cement in the US, what inspired these transitions? If you wouldn't mind kind of taking us through this journey that led to us being here today.
Thank you. So I can go a little bit back before that. So
Please.
I'll give you a little bit of background about me. So I graduated the year 2000 as an electrical engineer from Egypt. Um, I spent the first 6 years working in construction projects, mainly on the electromechanical construction of industrial projects. Most of the projects that I handled were cement plants and terminals. After these 6 years, I decided to have a little bit of a career shift. I got an opportunity in another country. It's called Equatorial Guinea. It's a small country in West Africa. Small country, but very wealthy.
Yes.
And I got a position to be a country manager for an electrical projects company. So they do electrification for all the rural areas in some small countries in Africa. Stayed there for a year and a half. They speak Spanish in that country. And I speak Spanish, but it's my third language, actually, after Arabic and English. So it was a challenging opportunity for me. I like challenges. I went there. I started the company, started to get some business for the company. But I felt a little bit stranger after 6 years in the cement industry, when I left to a different industry. One day I was reading an Egyptian newspaper, and I read in the news that the government is about to allow 35 new cement plant to be built in Egypt. So for me, this clicked. I had 6 years of experience in the cement industry. It's time to get back to Egypt and to the cement industry, maybe in a different way this time. So I went back. I called some of my previous colleagues in the cement industry. And I told them, let's start a company doing something within the cement world. I don't know what is it exactly. We can do the same thing that we used to do before, building the electromechanical part of the cement, or something else. And this is what we did. We started a company, and it was a great experience being an owner or a founder of a company. You start to learn different things, not only the technical part or the engineering part of it. So I started to learn different things. I was mainly responsible for the commercial part. So I was the face of the company with most of the customers. This was an amazing experience for me, and it was a good start for me getting into the business world in general. So after that, I decided to enhance my skills a little bit. So I got a diploma in project management, and then I started an MBA in Egypt in the American University in Cairo. And then after that, in the middle of the MBA, I got an opportunity from an owner of one of the cement plants that we did project for, to go with him to America and to start a company to import and distribute cement. This was back in 2013. Again, it's a challenge, and also it was somehow aligning with my previous plans to relocate to US. I always thought of the American dream. Here, it's the land of opportunities. You can develop your skills. You can start a business or grow a business different than any other country. So what happened. That's exactly what happened. I came here. I've been here for 11 years. Started a company with the owner. I always say I was the first employee or employee number 0. Right now we are more than 135 employees. We grow the business to hundreds of millions of dollars, and we grow it to different states. So in 11 years, I think this was a good achievement somehow.
Yeah, I would agree. The hundreds of millions of dollars in 11 years, I would say is pretty good. Especially only being, living in the States for, a short amount of time as well. So it sounds like kind of going back to, where you started, it seemed like Egypt passing those laws or releasing the funding for or approving 35 new cement companies in Egypt is really what allowed you to transcend into the concrete and cement industry, essentially, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
It's interesting how you studied electrical engineering and then you ended up in the cement industry just because of circumstance, essentially, for what was happening in Egypt, correct?
yeah, yeah. This is a big part of it, of course.
And so ultimately what it led you to do was, so I didn't realize you were employee zero at SESCO.
Yes, I started here with the founder of the company or the owner of the company. He's the second generation of the family. In the beginning, I was doing a little bit of everything, a little bit of HR, a little bit of sales, procurement, management, everything, banking, anything in the business. By time we start to hire people, start to structure the company. Now we have all the needed departments. My focus right now is more towards the business development and the commercial side, with a little bit of focus also on the human resources and other departments. But this is my thing the thing that excites me the most is growing the business. So this is my main focus right now.
Yeah, and can you talk to us a little bit about in 11 years, you guys have grown to a nine-figure company in terms of revenues. What has been working so well for you? Some companies never even are able to sniff that kind of success in 50 years. Talk to us about the beginning, where you were able to get into the market and why things have been so successful in what I would imagine is a relatively saturated market, especially in Texas. Talk to us a little bit about that, especially with your involvement in the business development, the sales. I know you have a wide array of involvement across the company since you're literally employee number one. But talk to us about that, not instant success. Obviously, 11 years is not nothing. But how you've developed and grown the company to such, high standards in a relatively short amount of time in business terms.
So I'll tell you first that the biggest challenge that I had when I came here, coming from a different country with a different business culture, coming to an industry that, as you said, it's a oligopoly market somehow. It's difficult to get into this market here. In addition, we're in the commodity business, so the differentiation is minimal. You can say all the cliche words. We are customer centric. We focus on customers, service, and everything. But they
Right?
need to see it and believe it, and then you
Yes.
need to find an edge. So in the beginning, we had challenging first and second year to pass through all the, let's say, the barriers to enter this market from competitors and from different things and from understanding also the mentality of the customers. By time we start to see some gaps, some opportunities in the market. One of them is that when you get into a commodity business and you get to compete with huge companies, sometimes you need to focus on small to medium-sized customers and make them feel that you're close to them, that you're like them. So I was focusing always that we're a family business, that we are very simple structure, and then this made us a little bit closer to them. And then the other thing is how to be different in a very traditional business like that. So when we came, we found out that almost everyone in this business is vertically integrated. So they have their own cement manufacturing, they have their own import terminals, and then they have their own ready-mix and concrete plants. So in the beginning, we were planning to be like them. And then we thought, why don't we try to be different? So we are the only independent import terminal in Houston. We're the only one that our focus is to import cement and sell it to customers. We don't want to compete with our customers. So this helped us give us a little bit of entry point to the customers, that we tell them we're not competing with them, we're just selling to them. We want to sell to you and compete with you. Also, this actually was somehow liked by the competitors, because competitors, most of them actually, their core business is more the concrete and ready mix, and the cement supply and the terminals, the import terminals, are more to serve their core business. So same thing with a little bit different language. Guys, we're not here competing with your core business. We are only selling cement. So we start to sell to all of our competitors as well. So I think this point of differentiation helped us with both the small to medium size and also the big companies in Texas.
Right, because in a way, you found a niche. Excuse me for interrupting, but you found a niche where you have now taken an entire element of a competitive advantage. You have removed yourself from competing with anybody who is probably bigger than you at the time, given you were a relatively young company. And I would imagine your costs were looking pretty good because you were importing from offshore, which was, I'm sure, especially given the quantity you were probably purchasing, your accounting and finance team were pretty happy with what those numbers looked like as well.
I think the important thing is that we're very efficient. So we always like to manage the business just like a mom and pop shop. It doesn't matter how big our scale and our size. We try to be very efficient and very simple and very nimble. So this helped us also in the market. So we have better control in our cost structure. We don't have huge overheads or complex structure like other big companies. So this also helped us a little bit.
So are you not manufacturing either? Are you just importing cement and then basically reselling it to your customers here stateside?
Correct, but part of the imports coming from our own manufacturing plants overseas in Egypt, and other part coming from other manufacturing plants in other countries like Turkey and Portugal and Saudi, that we have long-term relation with them through the rest of our group.
So you are manufacturing a bit, you're just doing it in Egypt. And
Yes,
those are under
yes,
the SESCO brand as well.
yes, yes.
Interesting. Okay. And Mohammed, with that being said, I mean, you've managed teams across different countries and industries. Speaking of, global importing and exporting, how has your leadership strategy evolved when working with diverse teams globally? I would imagine you have, or you're overseeing the plants in Turkey and Portugal as well as in Saudi and in Egypt as well. I mean, how do those cultures affect how you've developed your leadership skills based on how everyone does business differently at the global scale?
So it's very important to learn a little bit about cross-cultural communication, how to communicate with people from different cultures, because each culture has their own way of doing business, their own way of attending meetings or doing deals,
Right.
or even just passing the business card to the other side. Sometimes your way could be offensive to some cultures, so you just need to learn a little bit what words to say, how to say things when you're dealing with people from different cultures. But the other part, which is important, and I have a very specific point of view about diversity in general. We're very diverse in our company, but our diversity didn't came intentional. We didn't plan to make some balances. We want this amount of people from this culture or from this sex or from this at all or this gender. We always try to be fair, as fair as we can when we interview people. So diversity was the result of fairness when we were choosing people. And then the result was that all our discussions and all our brainstorming or decisions are enriched by this diversity. Different ages, different genders, different cultures, people from different way of thinking, they always enrich the discussion and always enrich the final decision because they just come from they say something from a different perspective than you are. So I see it actually not a challenge as much as I see it as an asset if you know how to use it well and if you know how to be fair. If you hire the wrong person in a place because you want to be diverse, it will backfire on you one day. If you just be fair, then you will have diversity and then you will see the diversity as an asset. Just the only thing, again, is you need to know how to talk to these people the right way. How to communicate right, so you don't offend them, they don't offend you. You understand some people have their more personal space, some cultures, and there are a lot of examples of that from some specific cultures that are extreme in one of these things.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's something that's really important to keep in mind. Obviously, when you're dealing with so many different countries, you have business interests across, three, four different continents. Obviously, they're not all doing business the same way. It lands on your plate to make sure that you have excellent strategy and you're upholding a level of respect across kind of across the board, if you will, when, dealing with, the factories in Europe, Africa, South America, the US, what have you. And also when, like you said, developing out your team unintentionally but intentional, having a diverse team that promotes that approach and that culture as well is really important. Especially when discussing this cultural topic in business when you're doing business on a global scale. It can make a really, really big difference in terms of building those relationships, right, with your suppliers and making sure, that there's a level of respect, and the better relationship there is, the better performance they'll probably provide, thus promoting a better result for you and obviously for your customers as well.
Yeah, correct. I think there's another point also is that with the globalization in the last couple of centuries or something, people travel and they meet each other and they see each other more often and they learn a lot about each other. And then there is a phenomena called corporate isomorphism, which means that corporates try to maybe copy each other a little bit because of headhunting from other companies in the similar industry, or because of the use of similar consultants, and sometimes because of the events and associations that they all attend. So I used to attend a lot of international events in America for a long time, in other countries. And then you meet people from everywhere in the world and you have the chance to talk to them and communicate with them and learn different things. So with the globalization, I think also the challenges are less.
Completely. And given you're a managing director there at SESCO, I mean, how often are you traveling around the globe? I mean, how often are you going back and visiting Egypt or the factories or manufacturers in Saudi or Turkey or Portugal or what have you?
Not much. My focus is mainly on the US business only. So I travel more to other locations that we are opening in Florida, in Louisiana, and other states that we have. But overseas, maybe I go to some events in Turkey and a little bit to Egypt, maybe once a year or something. But my focus is the business in USA and growing the business and expanding the business in the USA.
And when you say growing and expanding the business here stateside, are you referring to opening up new manufacturing plants here, or are you trying to develop the business side of things, more go-to-market business development, winning business in, like you mentioned, Louisiana, Florida, those parts of the country?
So we have a terminal in Port of Houston right now. This is our biggest terminal, and then we have another one under construction in Tampa, Florida, and we're studying some other states. Uh, our plan is to, the map of the United States with the 50 states. We want to cover this map.
Of
So
course.
this is the long-term plan. So geographically, we want to expand. I think we did a very successful model here in Houston. We are trying to copy and modify a little bit this model in different states. So because I think we somehow cracked some codes in this business, so we want to benefit from this and just copy paste and repeat in other states.
Right. If it works in Texas, I mean, it's likely to work in most other states too, as I'm sure you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
Copy, paste, rinse, repeat, and
yes.
expand. And Mohammed, talk to me a little bit about your supply chain management. You're importing cement from all over the world. Talk to us about how important the resilience is of the supply chain, how you're making sure that it is resilient, and how you're making sure that it's most effective for your bottom line, your costs, etc. Especially with cement acting as a commodity, prices are changing every day. Coming from different countries, going through, there's different processes in terms of freight logistics, you name it, in terms of getting it here
Yeah,
stateside where the business is happening. Talk to us a little bit about that.
yeah. So so talking about that, I have to tell you first some fun facts. You know that when someone buys cement, the end user, the consumer, when he buys the cement, less than 20% of what he paid is the price of cement. The 80% is supply chain and logistics. So in reality, we are in the supply chain business more than the commodity is not a big factor, especially that cement is an inexpensive product. So definitely supply chain efficiency and sometimes a little bit of creativity in how you handle the product and how you transport the product. That's why we focus on this. And also we got a lot of support from our affiliate companies because we have a trading company. We own few vessels that we use them sometimes overseas. And then we have our trading company, we have our manufacturing, we have a local trucking company overseas. We have here we have access to vessels and barge and rail and trucks. We can using all the different means of transportation and then deciding what means of transportation to use for what product, for what destination, from what origin, being very efficient, focusing on number. We like to collect data. We like to analyze the data. This is one of the most important things in any business, especially if it's a traditional business like that. You need to be very data-centric. You need to collect the data, analyze it, and then use it to take more educated decisions. The challenge in our industry is the uncertainty of forecast because big part of the sales volume, most of it comes from the concrete, and the concrete, they are dependent on the weather. They can pour concrete whenever it's lower than 35 degrees or something. They can't, for example, they can pour if it's raining or if it's a day or two after raining if the land is still wet. So, and it's very difficult recently to have accurate forecasts for let's say how it will rain when and then will stop when. You can find out maybe a week before or something, but you cannot right now. I can't tell you in April how many days of rain will be in April or in June.
Right.
It's almost impossible.
Of course.
So the challenge is that with the source, you need to have somehow clear plan for the vessels that are coming. And then with the customers, it's very difficult to get a certain sales volume per day and per week and per month. To solve this problem, we decided to build a little bit oversized terminal in Houston to have always a buffer more than others. So the biggest cement terminal in Houston, I think 120,000 tons of storage capacity. Our terminal is 250, more than double, 250,000 tons of storage capacity. Wow. So this, it's a lot of investment, but with some shortages that happen sometimes in the market, or with some opportunities that we find sometimes to sell to some areas, I think it paid off, the decision that we took. And also it's a good thing when you say that you have the biggest cement terminal in the world, that for an independent owner, of course. So yeah, this helped us to somehow eliminate a little bit of the effect of the uncertainties in the demand.
Interesting. And so are you guys are you selling wholesale to general contractors, construction companies, builders? Are you guys actually going and pouring the cement as well?
No, we're just importing the powder cement, and then we sell this powder cement to ready-mix plant, to precast, sometimes to major contractors in some big projects where they have their own concrete mixing on site in the project. But the majority of our sales going to the concrete plants so they can mix it with water and aggregates and then sell the concrete.
Interesting. Because I was going to say, I was curious why it was even your problem in terms of dealing with things like the weather. Obviously, even artificial intelligence can't control the weather at this point. So that's just something that we're going to have to live with. But I was wondering why that ended up on your plate, given I thought you were just selling the cement wholesale, and then it's, the GCs or the builder's problem to strategically plan when they're going to do a large scale project. If it's less than 35 degrees or raining, what have you, we can't do it. But I didn't realize that SESCO is helping with the actual planning of the large quantity pours as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Got it. Okay. And so, in your role at SESCO Cement, Mohammed, what strategies have you implemented to position the company as a leader in the cement distribution in the U.S.? I know we touched on this briefly about you removed yourself from any competitive elements with the bigger companies, but would you say that that was the main aspect that has separated yourself in just being an importer and helping with the planning, selling, or are there other elements as well that's allowed you to have this level of success in such a short amount of time?
So there are some small details, of course, that made a difference. Part of it, when I start to analyze all the competitors in the market, I start to notice few things. One of them is that I start to get some feedback from some customers about the competitors, and some of them, they told me the last time I saw my sales rep was 3 months ago. One of them told me a year ago. So, and I found that this is normal in a commodity business like cement. You open an account, you send your trucks to get, and then you never almost see. Normally, when you see the salesperson, probably he's trying to give you a price increase letter or something like that. So you
Of
don't want to see
course,
them.
of course. Trying to
So
hit
this is one
quota.
thing. Yeah, this is one thing I changed. That the way we sell, our customers need to be in touch, in person, with all the customers very frequent, depending on the size of the customer, once a day, once a week, once a month,
Sure.
but they have to be there all the time. Just saying hi, just asking if they need anything or they need help or anything. And the other thing, it's very simple. I found that most of the complaints from many customers is that some salespeople, they don't answer their phone. So, and my phone is like normally a foot away from my ears. So when I sleep, so sometimes I get calls at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. from a customer with a problem or something or some urgent need. So it's very important and makes a big difference. The other thing is because of the weather in Houston, especially that it rains a lot and sometimes it's unpredictable. One day I was sitting in the backyard of my house. It was a Sunday and then it was sunny. And the whole week before that was raining every day. And Sunday was sunny. And then I thought, okay, if I'm a contractor or if I'm a ready mix company and I have a job and the job is delayed, and then I have all week was raining, I couldn't pour concrete. And then the weekend, I can pour concrete, but I can't find cement because all cement terminals close Saturday half day and then close all Sunday.
All Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah. So I decided to be the only cement terminal in Houston that opens 24 hours, 7 days a week
Wow.
almost all year long, except very few days, of course, Christmas and Thanksgiving,
Sure.
very few days. Other than that, we're open 24 hours, 7 days a week. In the beginning, it was a little bit new for many people. So we used to have very slow Saturday and almost nothing Sunday. By time, we start to have a very, very busy Saturdays all the time. And Sunday also, we have 20, 30 trucks or something at least. So I think even it doesn't matter really if you need cement on Saturday or Sunday, but just the fact that there is a supplier that's available anytime whenever you need them, it gives you a feeling that you're more comfortable in dealing with them because you know that they are there for you whenever you need them. So I think it only the perception in the mind of the customers that we're doing something to prove that we are customer centric. We don't just say it or put it on our website. No, we're doing things to make sure that we are really customer centric without saying it.
Of course, I love it because and you said this perfectly twice now. How many companies will say, "Oh, we're all about the customers. We're customer centric." Anyone can say it. I can say it. Any restaurant, any business can say it. But are you really? How will you prove it to the customer? Where is the evidence? Where are the receipts? And you said a few key things there. First and foremost, it sounds like you're on call as much as doctors are, maybe more than doctors, because even doctors get like a few days off. It sounds like Mohammed, you don't pretty much, you're on call 24/7, 365, which is
And
helpful.
all our salespeople as well, all of them.
Right. Number two, the salespeople are actually around. If the industry is telling you and you're getting feedback from the customer base, we see our sales rep once every season, 4 times a year, like you said, three
Mhm.
months, maybe once in the winter, maybe a couple times in the summer and the fall. That's it. It's like, okay, guys, talk to your customers once a week, more if you can, especially the big ones. It really isn't a hard sales activity. I've been in sales personally for a long time. And I'm surprised to hear that. I'm not sure maybe it's an industry thing. That's just how things are, the account managers and the account reps in the cement industry, but it's not a difficult exercise to reach out to the customers a few times a week and say, "Hi, how we doing? Do we need anything? What can I do for you?" Okay?
Yeah.
We're already two legs up there. And number
Hmm.
three, an industry that's traditionally closed on Sunday. Sure, maybe the first few months of Sundays were pretty slow and you have someone at the office, but now you're doing 20, 30 trucks extra than anybody else, period. It's huge. It's a huge approach and attack to the market that's probably creating some significant results for you, especially when, as a perfect example, it'd been raining all week in Houston. No one was pouring cement. And you go out in the backyard one day and the sun comes out. It's like, man, we could be pouring cement right now, even though it's Sunday. It's too bad we're not open.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be open just in case. And look at the difference it makes.
Yeah, the decision also was easy because when we designed the terminal to be self-service. Like the whole terminal can be operated without any person. Just the truck driver can come, the customer truck driver or our truck driver can come and can self-load himself, and then he has a touch screen that he can sign on the screen, get a printed copy of his bill of lading, and then leave without even a single person there. We normally have on Saturday and Sunday a couple of people in the terminal, but I mean it's not that we're getting we don't have the full team on site on Saturday and Sunday. So to get 20 or 30 loads and to get the perception in the customer's mind that we are there for them anytime, it's of course it's worth opening.
Yeah, and it doesn't even sound like you're having to ask too many employees to work Saturday and Sunday, especially if it's
No,
almost like a self-serve situation. I mean,
yeah.
why wouldn't everybody do that at that point? I know you guys have the biggest terminal, but that's a no-brainer. You guys probably
Hmm.
have a huge reputation in Texas now as being, old reliable, the go-to if you need cement anytime, you go to SESCO.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we got good reputation also because something happened a few years ago in the cement market, especially in Texas, that the forecast was that it would be a very bad year, I think 4 years ago, and the sales would be very slow and the consumption would be lower. Our forecast was a little bit different. We did this twice, actually. We did it 5 years ago, and then we did it last year, 2023. That our expectation was different than all the economists because we didn't think that there would be a recession and that it will not affect the cement consumption in Texas as much as people say. So we were stocking product more than anyone else. So we had a couple of times that there was a major shortage of cement in Texas, and we were the only one that has cement. Not because our sales are low, but because we were ready and we were thinking a little bit a different way than others who follow blindly, all with all respect, of course, to the economists. But it's very difficult to predict everything to the T. So sometimes you need to ba- base some of your decision on gut feelings. I know that it
Of
may
course.
not sound professional sometimes, but
No, no, it
no,
is.
Texas is strong. The population is growing. We have a lot of approved projects for infrastructure. We have a lot of builders. We have people moving from other states to Texas. And then I don't think it will be that bad of a recession. So I think we need to be ready for a decent year. And it happened. I don't think even we had a horrible recession in America in the last couple of years. It was just people were talking about recession more than
Than the actual
what really
recession
happened. Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
Yeah, it kind of brings us back to that the supply chain aspect and being proactive versus being reactive with your materials, right? You're in the commodity business, you sell one product. If we don't have enough cement and somebody needs a big order, we're going to be in big trouble. So let's go ahead and buy more now in case that there is the need and there was the need. Call it a gut feeling, what have you. Um, it's a really, really important lesson and something to think about, whether it's a gut feeling or not. Being proactive and just being ready for situations like that can make a huge difference. Maybe we are thinking there was going to be a recession. Maybe we were thinking that there was going to be that many sales this year. and look what happened. You were prepared for it. You had the inventory to provide materials for all the customers and all of their demand. And it probably ended up being a great year for you guys in a year where you're planning for maybe a little bit of a downtick, for example.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really important lesson in terms of supply chain and planning and being proactive as opposed to being reactive, scrambling to find material when you have the need, but you don't have any cement to sell, for example. Much worse
Yeah.
situation, obviously.
Yeah. Correct.
And so, Mohammed, with that being said, what role is technology playing in improving logistics and the distribution processes within the cement industry? Obviously, every great business and its leaders sometimes have to go to the gut feeling. But as with the role of technology today and how innovative it is, the role of artificial intelligence and managing some of these processes, what role is it playing for you guys in really enhancing and optimizing your efficiencies in terms of your logistics and distribution?
Yeah. So I think everything starts with data. So we care a lot about collecting as much data as we can, organizing this data, analyzing the data, transferring the data, storing it, and visualizing this data to all the stakeholders. So we have a central ERP system, SAP, and then we have a lot of different softwares. All of them communicate with the ERP, and then we have a lot of dashboards, a lot of things that give us live data, give us daily data. So we always collect as much as we can from data from the equipment on the operation side to financial data, to sales data, to supply chain data, any type of data you can imagine. So technology for us is more of the tool that we can make use from all this data that we collect from everywhere, and then analyze it, and then help us to take a more educated decisions based on this data. So we have a lot of different ways for forecasting, for planning, for everything, even the payroll software, everything is connected to our ERP system at the end.
Yeah, no, and especially with an industry like yours, having that ERP system and being able to leverage your data. Previously, as you know, and traditionally, even like the last 5, 10 years, there's so much intelligence in your data. There's so many insights and analytics that could be pulled but weren't because it required a data scientist to go in and spend weeks sifting through the data and finding valuable key insights to pull out. And then by the time, those weeks went by, the data was old. It was time to move on. A month had gone by. And so now with the role technology plays and with the emphasis on how important data is today across all industries, it's really, really valuable thing to be able to pick those insights out and understand what your data is telling you, like you said, to make some of those strategic decision making or have those strategic decision making abilities. Um, Even if it's, we're expecting weather in Houston, we have a huge rainstorm coming in. What does that tell us in terms of what our decision making needs to be for the next few weeks after that? How can we plan and optimize this situation that we know is inevitable to the way that our business operates and make it so it's not as painful? What does the data tell us in the past? What have we done in the past differently when we've had the exact same weather situation? And how can we do it differently this time for the better, of course? And it's like you said, it's really important to have that understanding and to be able to use it to, like you said, make those strategic decisions, especially with the technology that's available today.
Yeah. Yeah. For that purpose, actually, we started a department, digital transformation department. Their focus is to try to, part of it is digitize everything that we have in the company in our process, and then continuously improve everything, make everything more efficient through the data that we collect. So just as an example, we put a lot of different data points in the route of the truck inside our terminal, from checking in to starting to load to finishing the load, and we start to analyze this because we know that time is money in any business. If you're a trucking company or if you're a driver on a truck, if you can get in and out of the terminal in 10 minutes earlier than another terminal, this is a big advantage. This is a lot of cost saving for you. So we right now we are one of the minimum in total time in terminal. We're averaging around 23 minutes total time from the checking in to the checking out of the truck. And this used to be a little bit higher than that last year. We start to analyze what's the problem. Is the problem in the check-in process takes more time, or is it the line till they get to the loading, or is it the loading time itself, or is it the processing time for the ticket and everything? Start to collect a lot of data and then analyze this data, and we start to make some improvement projects to decrease this, and we are on the way to decrease it even more with some expansion that we're doing right now, that hopefully we can get to 15 minutes total. We're talking about 45 minutes to 1 hour normal total time in other terminals. So data is very important, and technology is very important to collect the data at least, and to digitize many things instead of having a lot of papers, a lot of complicated processes. We have things simpler through softwares, through digital things, and then the data and the analysis that we do for the data.
So how many trucks can the terminal service at one time?
Our record day was 317 trucks
Wow.
in 24 hours, and this is pretty much. There's a lot. We are expanding more now, actually, and we are having actually a new gate from another side of the terminal and another exit, so we can have more traffic flow in and out, and we can have faster loading in the expansion that we're doing, so we can pass the 500 trucks per day
Wow.
total.
And are you expecting to do that kind of volume if you're able to figure out the logistics and efficiency behind the terminal itself?
So we are also the only cement terminal in Houston that has a rail terminal inside. So this gives us access to some other markets that we didn't have that much access to. So we can send cement by rail direct from the ship to the storage to the rail. We can send it to Dallas, to Denver, Colorado, to Oklahoma, to Arkansas, or to West Texas, Odessa, or anywhere. We already start to sell a lot to Dallas and some other cities. So it's not more volumes in the same market. It's new access, give us access to more markets. So this is by trucks or by rail or by barge or by any other means. The other thing is that we are adding new products. We're not only focusing on cement. We're maybe if you want to talk more about the sustainability, I can explain to you a little bit more about the new thing that we are doing right now, the expansion. It's mainly focused on supplementary cementitious material, which is other materials like fly ash and slag, any material that can replace percentage of the cement in the mix, and it has, of course, lower carbon footprint because most of this material are actually waste.
Oh, interesting.
So fly ash is a waste material from burning coal, and slag is a waste material from the steel manufacturing. So the expansion is mainly to focus on getting more supplementary cementitious materials. So this is a little bit different. These are, let's say, replacement products to the cement, but this gives us access to a different market that we were not selling before, and another product that we sell to the same market that we're selling to.
Interesting. So essentially, you're diversifying within the cement industry, if you will.
Yes.
Are these alternative solutions cheaper, or they're promoting more of a sustainability thing for you that you can represent within SESCO as well?
Both. So they are slightly cheaper than cement. So when you replace the percentage, you save a little bit of money. And there are some regulations, and like right now, DOT, Department of Transportation, they have you're obliged to use a percentage of any of these products in your mix. So by time they may reach the same price level of cement, but definitely you have way lower carbon footprint with these products than cement.
Interesting. Well, that's great. I mean, it's less carbon footprint, slightly less cost. You can talk about and act on it in terms of your sustainability initiatives. Seems like a win-win to me.
Yeah. Yeah, especially that, cement industry responsible for 8% of the global emission of carbon dioxide. This is a big percentage
No
for one
kidding. Yeah,
industry.
I would have
Yeah.
never guessed that. I would have never guessed that. Well, it's, where you live in a time when sustainability is becoming more and more important, and it's great that there are these initiatives and these options that you're able to utilize now that is checking some of these boxes. Not to mention, it's not skyrocketing your costs either. It's actually going down a little bit while still being more sustainable.
Yeah.
And Mohammed, to wrap up here, tying everything together, you've had an illustrious journey. It's taken you all over the world. You've had immense success. Especially the last 11 years with SESCO as the managing director. Out of all these things that you've done and accomplished, what are you most proud of achieving in your career so far, and what's continuing to keep you motivated as a leader in this space?
So
I know it's a
it's
loaded
a
question.
no, it's a tough question because the moment that I achieve something, I almost delete it from my memory. I don't see it as an achievement anymore. I don't like to celebrate the achievements. I always like to think what's next, what's coming after that. So the achievements that I'm proud of are probably achievements that I still didn't achieve, that hopefully will happen in the next few years. So um, I don't focus that much about the past achievements. I can advertise for my company and talking about achievements that the company did, but nothing that I can say like what's coming is way more than what passed. So I don't look that much at the past. The other point, what motivates me as a leader, I don't like, there are some words that I don't like. People here in the company, that I hate some words like boss, for example. I
Sure.
see myself as a facilitator more. I always say, let's work together. We're working together. I don't like this feeling of being the leader or a leader or anything like that. I always like that together we achieve a target. So for me, I love when I'm able to convince someone to do something and convince him that he's the one who came up with the idea. I don't really care about
The
that I'm the
credit.
one who gave the order or the credit or anything. I just want to get things done the best possible way. I like people who ask why. If I
Yes,
tell someone we need to do this, why? I love this type of people because I'm not perfect. Maybe I didn't say the best way to do it. I always ask them, what do you think? Is there another way, a better way to do it or not? I always tell people here, even though we talked a lot about customers, but I don't want to forget something very important, that companies that focus too much on customers and they forget that there are two other important stakeholders in any business that you need to focus on them to succeed are the employees and the vendors as well.
of
So
course.
with all the supply chain problems, if you don't have good relations with vendors, you may be out of a product and then your operation stop because they didn't put you as a priority. You didn't care about them. You always care about negotiating with them in the price, to be very tough with them in the relation and everything. You didn't understand the importance of vendor in your process, in your operation. And of course, employees, all employees, especially the people that you don't see. Like we have the salespeople that talk to customers, we have the back office of the sales, and we have the customer relation, the people that are in the office, and they are the one who support the sales with all the communication and information and everything that helps them. So every single employee in any of the departments in the company contribute to the success of the company. So employees, vendors are equally important, just as the customers. If you didn't think about it this way, you will not have especially that many of these employees, they communicate with the customer a way or another. So you always need to increase the sense of ownership in every employee in the company, almost if they are in the accounting or the operation or the finance or anywhere, because this is how the customers will feel more that you are really customer centric, because everyone in the company think about the customer. Sometimes we have cases. Sometimes the most important thing is to deal with this case immediately and try to educate people. What's the best way to talk to a customer or any representative of the customer? I always tell them the most important, for example, in the terminal, the most important person in the big customer is the truck driver, because he's the one who comes every day and he's the one who sees us every day. Maybe the owner of the company, maybe we talk to him once or twice a year, but the driver, every day he comes. Very important to treat him and deal with him the best possible way, sometimes in very, very simple ways, because this is the representative of the customer.
Of
So
course.
many small things like that, but in general,
They go a very long way, of course.
yeah, yes, yeah,
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right, and agree with you entirely. You know, it's especially when it comes to your employees. I mean, they are very much the team, and they very much are the lifeblood of SESCO and what make the company what it is. And so,
yeah,
when you have an excellent team, obviously, you know, with that excellent leadership foundation that you and the founder or owner really set, and you guys establish those standards, there's not really a reason you can't be successful, especially when you're in a market where you guys have figured out your niche and found success that way. But the team is equally as important. You rely on them to do their job, come to work every day, and strive toward that common goal. Same thing with the suppliers and vendors. You rely on them for your business to operate. And to your point, you know, the people you see every day, the truck drivers, the owners of the other companies, of course, require that same level of respect and fair treatment because they rely on you, you rely on them, but that's just what makes business successful, and obviously something that Sesco has seen in their 11 years, obviously too. So, which is great. I mean, it seems like there's a an algorithm here or a recipe that has led to the success that you guys have had.
yeah. I think one of the most important things that is that we make mistakes sometimes, but we like to correct these mistakes and we like to improve. When we have a problem, we like to communicate the problem with the customer immediately. If we have any um, stoppage or shortage or anything, if it happens, it rarely happens, but we like to be honest and transparent as much as we can. Try to improve, and hopefully more improvements coming. So things hopefully will be even better.
Absolutely. Always tinkering, always learning, and always improving, of course.
Yeah,
Well,
yes,
Mohammed,
sure.
this has been terrific. I can't thank you enough for coming on the Results Loading podcast.
No problem.
Thank you for sharing, you know, some of these insights, your story, obviously, like I mentioned, an illustrious career. You've seen, you know, significant success, and you've really found this great recipe to figure out how to really accomplish some of these goals and find success with a relatively young company. It's really a tremendous story, and appreciate you sharing the insights, and I think it was truly valuable. So thank you again, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.